And that's another thing. Like, you know, I could never, you know, idolize like become so enthralled to something more than I internalize God's word and God's being, His entity, you know, and God's image. So there, like, and I noticed one thing, like when it came to persecution, I noticed a lot that when I did have certain platforms, some liars, would seek to twist, like, cause see, mind you, throughout these years, for a long time, I was putting out these testimonies and things I was going through, and I didn't know who was the cause of it. I didn't know who the source was, and I didn't know, to be exact about, who, because I didn't see any reason as to why they would be in the first place, but I knew it was a reality. So I didn't really care either that much as I could prosper from the testimony itself and then move on with my life. I'm not gonna sit there and try to, put too much time into thinking about the who's, and like that. I just know the what. And then I want what I did put time into trying to figure out what's the whys, you know. And then I figured out the whys. Turns out I already knew all along. It was Satan. The prophecy is about everything in alignment, So it's not really at that point, in that sense, it's not really that deep, you know. And so there was never a point in time where, you know, I was so enthralled by any particular, like a human being other than what God put in my life, you know. And that's real. If God ain't put it in my life, then there's no reason for me, to be so taken by anything like that. So, and I noticed liars. One of the aspects of distortion, how they twisting up everything, was to misrepresent my expression in all of these testimonies I have, as to being about, as to me, as to misrepresenting my consciousness at that time of expression, as aware, like that, to make it as if I was aware, I'm aware now, but at the time when I made these recordings a lot, I wasn't aware. And so they misrepresented as if I'm aware of who my persecutors were. And they used that in order to misrepresent me and de-emphasize and diminish and discredit me as an artist and as a writer and as a person, in my career, by you know, de-emphasizing it and encapsulating it as if, I'm just, checking for this person or that person or whatever it is. And then, they have this person, this person or that person, you know, initiate contact with me, through multiple ways, multiple various types of they initiate contact with me through all types of ways, covert ways. And the reason they do it and did it covertly is because they didn't want it to be obvious that I didn't care about whatever it was. So that it's like a process into turning, it's like a satanic process of turning or making someone to be someone else's fan, or to be obsessed with somebody. It's a it's a it's sick, and it's satanic, and they do that in order to de-emphasize, like trying to put, it's like trying to put somebody underneath somebody, and 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 that's not what. And me being who I am for God, I notice that of course, there's times in life where you follow, and there's times in life where you lead, you know, and that's totally in its own context, according to the scripture and things. But as far as like how it was being presented to be, there's no way, that any of it is substantial or is true. When it comes to that particular situation or aspect or distortion or however you would have whatever you call it or label it with, it's completely false. I'm not taken or enthralled by no entity, no, because you know, I know my value as a man and as a person in God's eyes first of all, And so when you don't know your own value and worth, then that's when you lose sight. And I'm talking about somebody that God, like, it's tons of different people God put in position. If God put a person in position in a light to be a leader, or to be prominent, in one way or another. That's what I'm referring to. I'm not referring to those who he's put to be taught, because even leaders have to be taught. You know, even leaders have to follow sometimes. You know, and that's all, because that's not saying leaders are above those who are following, or it's not like that. It's so much distortion that had been in rotation about me, and it's a very complex distortion. It's to the point where it actually was a project. It wasn't like it's just some random stuff. No, it was a centralized project and attempt at the ultimate diminishment of an individual, completely. The complete eradication from concept, idea to life, to aspect of life and everything. And my only weapon against that was time, for a long time. And so, and then that's why I'm at liberty, just like he was merciless in his attempts to destroy every entity apart, every fiber of my being, as an artist and as a person. So, it's only right that I show that same enthusiasm or that same effort into the illumination and exposure of that. You know, there's no question about whether or not it existed at this point. And that's the only determining factor, the only factor that demons, could ever try to build anything off of. The absence of it. But it's not. For one, when there's proof, then it's undisputable. And for two, the absence of proof doesn't mean the absence of reality. You know, but that's not a factor. Even though there's constant effort to destroy, proof and evidence and things, God gives you the wisdom how to handle that, And, but yeah, and it's an ongoing thing, it's an ongoing thing, and it's getting to the point where it's like it gets bolder and bolder and more sinister. It's like, I don't understand, it's the weirdest junk ever. And it's not like it's just something that's new. It's a continuation of what already was in play and already was in process. That's not my fault. Whoever get exposed by it, that's not my fault. They made the decision, to kick against a freaking, to kick against the pricks, to kick against a whole arrangement of spikes or something. I didn't, the spikes there, I'm not on nobody's shoulder telling them, hey, do this, it's gonna hurt you. I'm not, that's not me. I'm not on anyone's shoulder instructing them to do self-destructive things or nothing. That's Satan. Satan does that. All I'm doing, just like everybody in the world, everybody say they have to get theirs. Everybody say they have to get theirs and they have to make it, when they have to survive. I'm doing the same thing. Why can't I survive? Why can't I, secure what's mine? Why can't I, secure what's mine? Why can't I talk about the wrong, things that I had been through, the wrongs that I had seen, the wrongs that had been done to me? It's a lot of things and a lot of questions that I have, as well. And those of which will be, brought to the forefront upon, the perpetuation of these types of strongholds, and it's, trust me, it's a frustrating thing, because frustrating to say the least, just given the nature throughout everything, throughout the years, and it's been, a rough thing. And then it's also a bittersweet thing on another level. It's kind of bittersweet, and that's on a whole different topic, and I ain't even getting on that right now. But as far as that, I choose what I interact with. You know what I'm saying? I make that I can think for myself, and I choose what I have interest in. Then when God come into a person's heart, then of course, your desires are gonna get with God's desires. But that's in no way discrediting, degrading, or tearing anyone else down that's still in the process of growing, because it's a growing thing, you know. So I'm not taking nothing, tearing nobody down that's trying to grow in the right way, which is why I have and have not, embrace the certain things that I previously embraced, like certain concepts that or actions that I could, I haven't taken or haven't it could, you know what I'm saying? So everything is for a reason, and it's for a reason that all gonna equal up to glorifying God, and that's for me in my life. It's not me trying to control nobody else's life. It only becomes relevant when external comes to my life, and it tries to control my life immorally, unethically, and sometimes illegally, and irrationally, because I have that right that everybody else have. And then another thing, like I've said many times before, race, like as far as like race and ethnicity and things of this nature. Now this on a totally different subject than my last half of this recording. This is a new half of the recording, and it's about another persecuted um a dart from Satan, man. And I seen it, and I said I was going to embrace illuminate it. And so here it is, it's one thing about me. I never have, you know, internalized, concepts of race and things like that. Because I knew one thing about it. God created all people, all humans, and He created everybody, for Himself, of course, to worship Him, and He said neither Greek, Greek, Jew, or whatever. The Lord came for everybody, the Gentiles. All, like it's not. It doesn't matter what race a person is. And see, that's the perspective I hold. Nothing I say, nothing I embrace my career has I been done like according to with a racial stigma, and that's just how I am, who I am, that's and because I never really understood, like when I was coming up, race was never like a was never like it's not something that I wanted to like it wasn't something I wanted to get caught up in. I learned, through history about a lot of things about race and racism, man, and a lot of things that as a society, we had went through, and a lot of notable individuals, they made substantial contributions. God positioned them in positions to where they would make changes and things that matter, and that's awesome. That's awesome. I see it being talked about by all types of races, even races that not even involved in it. So I mean, it doesn't matter. Rationally, it doesn't matter, and so I'm my outlook on that is, no, like nothing I'm saying is racially charged. Like it's not about race to me. At the end of the day, like when it comes to persecution or whatever, I look at things in terms of individual. Every individual has, you know, free will. God gave everybody free will, and they can choose to do what they want. Good, bad. They can make decisions that they want. I mean, things can be suggested. They can have peer pressure, or there's a lot of different. There's a lot that can go into that concept. But at the end of the day, I feel like we make our own decisions. We make we decide what we do, and we decide what we don't do. Regardless of what race we is or nothing. And that's how I look at it in terms of individual. But I like to think that God left His fingerprint in everybody heart. Everybody know who God is. I mean, everybody been given a measure of faith. And then it's on the subconscious level. As humans, we are alone and we know in part, about our creator, and that he, and that is, that there is a creator or a higher power, indeed, you know, and when it comes to race now, like ain't nothing I said or done. And there was times like in my career where, I said like I embrace certain concepts, ideas that, I later went back and corrected because I didn't realize because as a child, like I was very, very, perceptive, and like even now, still like I like to observe, and there's a lot in society, and according to your environment and what you're in proximity to, that there's certain things you're more likely and more, inclined to be receptive to, like more things that you're more likely to absorb, you know, and it's not until you get older that you realize exactly what the substance is of what's going on, what you've seen, what you saw, you know, in the world, in society. And that's just a normal thing, it's not nothing that's any more deeper than that, that's just reality, it happens to everybody. Everybody's saw it, especially, and then these days, just like in this generation, we got the younger ones coming up. And they seeing stuff now in the world, I mean, that they don't understand now, but they're gonna emulate it, they're gonna do it, or they're gonna absorb some fashion or some form of things, even if it's not the right things, you know. And that we know that's going to happen no matter what, unless they live, unless, their parents stand in God, stand in God, and they really put forth their effort into molding and, keeping the child on the straight and narrow. But we live in a crazy world today, and there's a lot of immorality, and that's just an example of the concept I'm laying on, like with this race thing and all that, Nah, I never internalized, any kind of thing like that. And at this day and age, I don't even embrace the whole concept, period, because when you know better, you do better. And I never, like, it was like a shallow thing to me, and it still is shallow to me to this day. Like, I never saw any substance in any racially charged anything. I never saw the substance in it. I never felt the substance in it. I just think people are just people. That's just how who God made them to be for His own purposes. That they have to wake up upon. When they become awakened to His will for their life, then hey, that's what I live for. That's a glorious thing. But yeah, hope I cleared up these two distortion aspects. Smear and distortion from satanic. Lies and things. And as they come to me, I peep out what's most abrasive, and that's obscuring the canvas of God, that with this particular canvas of God, uh, hopefully, it could have positive effects outside the canvas too, off the canvas, who knows, perception. But yeah, this nothing but the truth, dog. Some more recordings and stuff, who knows. But yeah, all glory and praise, honor to God, who is the head of my life. And yeah, guess I keep, new developments up as they come. I'm out here.